The years of the Taliban were the worst time for women's education in Afghanistan.
They did not like the idea of your girls being educated.
This is very bad idea. This is very bad idea.
And were you able to carry on some activity even when they were?
Our school is the doors. Our school is closed.
Is the letter to Taliban? They close our school.
This is the letter saying that the school must be closed.
Also, they lock our house.
They lock
you can't teach.
People were put in jail for teaching?
Yes, they put in jail.
And by the name of Allah, we'll start our lesson. And now, who make a sentence about these pictures? Please, come to the blackboard. And now, all of you looking.
It was really humbling to sit in that classroom and recall how rowdy we were and how ill-disciplined we were in the classroom. And these kids are focused intensely on their lessons. I'm sure that there's another side to them as children, but they take their education very seriously, and I think that must be in part because they were denied it until very recently. Here's a free market at work. This is capitalism. I mean, we're in downtown Kabul, and there's a free market all around us. It's tremendously energetic. I could spend a week just walking around Kabul. The sounds, the smells, the faces. Traveling through Kabul, one can't help but think of the sacrifices of our troops. They gave their lives to make us safer and to give the people here a decent future. The situation in Afghanistan is precarious. The elected government is weak. In the south, the Taliban decapitate students and teachers, bomb market squares, and collaborate with drug traffickers. We and our allies are still fighting and dying in Afghanistan. It's a desperately poor country that needs massive economic help. It's a disgrace that we must bear so much of that burden, while the oil-rich Arab states are doing nothing for their fellow Muslims here. This is a war we must win, but not everyone supports our policies in Afghanistan. In London, I met Simon Jenkins, a severe critic of my view of the world.
I think you have two choices. One is to stay there as long as you possibly can, killing not hundreds but thousands of Afghans, and boasting at the end of each day, rather like in Vietnam, we must be winning because we've killed so many of them. And eventually you will retreat in disorder because there are just too many of them coming out of the hills all the time. And I think that would be a defeat. Or I think you could argue, well, we punished Afghanistan for 9/11, but we have put in place a democratic ruler, Hamid Karzai. We've put in place aid agencies, and as far as we're concerned, it's over to him.
Look, I certainly don't believe that we punished Afghanistan. I think we liberated Afghanistan. We punished the Taliban regime, which no longer is in authority in Kabul, and by means of brutal terror can from time to time establish some limited authority in some provinces. I believe they can be defeated not by us but by other Afghans. The overwhelming majority of Afghans are happy to be rid of the scourge of the Taliban.
It is, to my mind, a war you cannot win. No one has ever won it, and we're not going to win it. You're dealing with historically aggressive bands of people. I mean, I may say they make the Iraqi insurgents look like children. These guys really know about killing people. They really did for the Russians. The Russians put in 150,000 people and were pretty good. It's often said they're pretty bad. They were pretty good, and they were wiped out. These people are good. They're not to be trifled with.
Simon, the Russians were there as an imperial power, with no support from any segment of the population except the handful of quislings that any invading, occupying power can generate. They were massively unpopular. I don't believe that's true of the Western forces that are there.
But the only hope I see for Afghanistan is, in effect, our withdrawal from it, gradual, careful, staged, and its replacement by the kinds of deals, deeply unattractive and very undemocratic, that Karzai's doing, which was always going to be the likely successor to the Taliban.
Are you talking about deals in which people who want to shut down education for women are allowed to do that in a local area? Because
yeah.
If you could cut deals in which our minimum standards were met, okay. But if it means a return to what we've been in there trying to deal with, like the terror that's inflicted on women, that I don't think is going to happen. Not now.
I mean, I just think we've got to be realistic. The idea that this was a country that could in some sense be pacified, brought under the control of Kabul, made democratic, and frankly made feminist, was to anyone who knew Afghanistan laughable.
Is it really so laughable? Simon Jenkins is saying that because the task is difficult and hasn't been done before, we shouldn't even try. Those who bombed New York and Washington had their mission control in Afghanistan. We had to respond. In doing so, we have created a fledgling democracy. To abandon it now would prove bin Laden was right when he proclaimed America weak and irresolute. The fact that democratic government in Afghanistan is under attack makes it all the more essential that we stand firm. Today we face another threat from Iran, the principal sponsor of terrorism in many parts of the world and a country that is fast developing nuclear weapons. We're always being told that Muslims hate America. I know that isn't true in the case of Iran, where there is strong pro-American sentiment amongst the people. For some years now, I've been in touch with Iranian dissidents who want to bring down a regime they detest. One of them was a student leader. When I learned he had been smuggled out of the country, I was eager to meet him. We've just arrived in Dubai. We're here to meet an extraordinary young man, Amir Abbas Fakhravar. He has escaped from Iran in the last 24 hours.